Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, and today on Record All Monsters, King Kong escapes, and a farewell to kings.
Like the original Kong. With this, the world is ours.
It's still not the original. You sure you didn't just build a giant toy?
A toy? That's an insult. How can you say that? It is the strongest thing there is in the world today.
Need I remind you how I feel about that? How does it help my government get Element X?
This robot can do anything I program. You can see that I had it constructed exactly as Carl Nelson planned it.
This man Nelson is interesting. Will you get on to the point?
Most certainly. The giant Kong was Nelson's model. This famous scientist researched the legend, and he reconstructed the strongest creature on Earth.
You stole it?
Mm-hmm. I took his drawings, and my genius translated them into a robot Kong that can certainly do anything the original Kong would have done.
A few episodes ago, we talked about Godzilla vs. a Sea Monster, aka Ebirah, Horror of the Deep. Some of you may remember that movie began life as Operation Robinson Crusoe, King Kong vs. Ebirah. Basically, Toho Studios presents Rankin Bass's The King Kong Show, the movie. Rankin Bass, the producers of The King Kong Show, were disappointed with the lack of elements from their series present in that script, so they had another one written. This time from a specific story treatment by Arthur Rankin Jr. himself. His involvement guaranteed a number of things carried over from the cartoon, including the villain, Doctor Who, and Kong's robotic double, Mechani-Kong. 5 years earlier, when Kong had fought Godzilla, that film was released as part of Toho's 30th anniversary celebration series. And now, King Kong Escapes, or as it was called in Japan, King Kong's Counterattack, was featured in Toho's 35th anniversary celebration. This was one of the reasons the film was important to our friend Eiji Tsuburaya, who was also thrilled to be working on his own King Kong movie, with a chance to produce effect scenes from the original in his own way, with the techniques he'd developed when stop motion was unavailable to him. And he does so pretty spectacularly. First of all, Kong looks better here than he did in 1962, with a slightly more put-together face, and is now played by Haruo Nakajima instead of Soichi Hirose, who was nearly 45 at the time of his portrayal in King Kong vs. Godzilla. The big ape is more vibrant and emotive. The highlight for me, and I think possibly for Tsuburaya too, is Kong's fight with Gorosaurus, a big bluish-green Allosaurus-type dinosaur, played by Hiroshi Sekita, who had sparred with Nakajima in the previous year's War of the Gargantuas. Several aspects of the fight are lifted directly from Willis O'Brien's original Kong fight with the Meat Eater on Skull Island, including Kong's finishing move, pulling Gorosaurus' jaws apart until he dies. Rankin Bass and Toho executive producer Iwao Mori, who we met back in our episode on Godzilla King of the Monsters, wanted the dinosaur to bleed from his injured maw, but Tsuburaya, famously adverse to bloodshed in his child-focused entertainment, refused. A compromise that I personally find more grisly was reached. Gorosaurus foams at the mouth in his death throes. A special note on the human side of things are the two female lead performers, Linda Miller and Mia Hama, as Lieutenant Susan Watson and Madame Piranha, respectively. Hideo Amamoto also deserves some recognition for his hammy turn as Doctor Who, in a performance worthy of Vincent Price, just short of mustache twirling, and probably only on account of his lack of a mustache. The other actors range from good to with a friendly but bored-looking Akira Takarada as Jiro Nomura, and a 6'2" length of board, going by the name of Rhodes Reason in the ostensibly lead role of Commander Carl Nelson. The most notable credit I have found for him outside of this film is Rex Reason's brother in Real Life. Oh, he was in This Island Earth, too. He's better than Russ Tamblyn, though, and never talks down to or seems resentful of his Japanese co-stars, so he's got that going for him. The film was released as King Kong's Counterattack in Japan in July of 1967, and in June of 1968 as King Kong Escapes in the US, where it shared a marquee with The Shakiest Gun in the West, which now in my head has resulted in the following sketch. The King Kong Show, starring King Kong, with Bobby Bond, also starring Don Knotts. I guess that's really all I have to say about King Kong Escapes here. It's an enjoyable movie, and the last one Eiji Tsuburaya worked on directly as special effects director before being succeeded by Teruyoshi Nakano, his longtime assistant. So really, there are two kings we're saying goodbye to. Kong, the king of Skull /Faro /Mondo Island, and Eiji Tsuburaya, the king of Tokusatsu.
Kong! Kong! King Kong!
Don't call. Yeah, let him go.
But he's going.
He's going home. I think he's had enough of what we call civilization.
Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, host and writer of Record All Monsters, and this is an ad for Anchor. That's right, it's an ad for Anchor, and if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. I was really intimidated at first to start this show until I heard about Anchor, and there were a few things that made me feel more at ease to begin. First of all, it's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so that it can be heard on a number of platforms, including whichever one you're listening to it on right now. You can even make a little money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And even their ads are easy. The mandatory call to action is something I can state freely. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Doesn't that feel good? This has been an ad for Anchor, and I've been Robert Kelly, host and writer of Record All Monsters. Hello, welcome back to Record All Monsters. We're here with, as usual, for these in-person sessions, my lovely wife and producer, Courtney.
Hi.
And returning for the first time this season, we have Nathanael Ross Smith.
Hello, good to be here.
And we're talking, you know when Nathaniel's here.
Talking about monkeys.
We're talking about monkeys. And we just watched King Kong Escapes. And we had a precious little conversation between setting up the equipment and ending the movie because I wanted to get your takes fresh, Nathaniel. What did you think?
I liked it a lot. I think you'd be hard-pressed to say it is a top-tier movie as far as quality of script and acting goes, but there's a lot that I really liked about it. I think it felt Kong movies are always fun because you have like the adventure aspect. They always have like a section when they go first see him on the island is cool always. This one, what year did this come out?
This came out in 1967.
Okay, so well into Bond era, and this feels like they had just rewatched Dr. No before maybe making this movie, which is cool. I love all that stuff. A lot of cool, very obviously James Bond influence things.
Yes, we get at Toho a lot of James Bond influence from about now until the end of the 70s.
I'm into it.
Yeah, we'll bring you back for some of those because it's a lot of fun. Courtney, is this the first time you've seen this one?
I think it is, yes.
It may have been on Svengoolie, but I'm not...
Yeah. Like, if it's not the first time, it's been a while.
No.
Yeah, I was like really impressed with a lot of the sets and stuff. A lot of the design was really great. All of the like kind of villain layer stuff was really cool.
Yes. And we have a very interesting villain. His name is Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. Just like the British alien who lives in a porta potty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or a phone booth. So that, yeah, that's the bad guy. And you noticed right away his voice actor, because we were watching the only available version in the West, which is the US cut released by Universal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll always notice when Paul Frees is there.
Yes, and that was Paul Frees as Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Paul Frees is like deep into my psyche from my childhood. So right before we watched the movie, Robert was getting us food, and Courtney and I were talking about the Haunted Mansion, and so it was full circle. Like, here we go, Haunted Mansion. In King Kong Escapes. Who would have ever guessed?
Yes.
Well, and Paul Frees did a lot of voice work for Rankin Bass in particular.
Right.
Who, as we went over in the essay and us talking here, he did a lot of voice work for Rankin Bass, who produced this movie. Mm-hmm. And he does a good job.
He's great. He's always fun as a bad guy, like in Rocky and Bullwinkle or something.
Yes.
He has that. He's fun.
Well, there were some shades of Meister Burger a few
100%.
times on this.
Which doesn't really make any sense as to why I would talk like that exactly, but that's okay. I know we talked some about in the cartoon, Doctor Who's like a main villain in that. And
yes.
He's very different, like, kind of typical.
Yeah, he's a tiny
doctor who's bald and wears a lab coat and stuff.
Yeah, he's a little tiny guy too.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, because this is, we did a quick look last week on the cartoon King Kong Escapes, which I had never really watched in depth. When I got the DVD, I watched a few and had fun with it. Mm-hmm. But I did a real deep dive recently. And this is also the first time I watched it like right back to back with King Kong Escapes.
Right.
And I now have a theory that this movie is a prequel to the cartoon. And the way we see him in the cartoon
is what happens later.
Yeah, well, because at the end of this, he gets squished in the ship. And so I imagine he's kind of just...
Yes, he's not doing so good after this.
Yeah.
I liked his all the design, like all the parts when he's wearing that cape. Courtney pointed out his cape.
Great cape.
Yeah, super cool costume and stuff.
Glorious.
Yeah. He with the death scene. I don't know if we talk about this in the essay, but we were talking during the fight scene with the dinosaur Gorosaurus, and at the end, it's like every King Kong movie has to have the bit where he kills the dinosaur with breaking his mouth. But in this one, there's all like the like foam. He starts foaming at the mouth, and it was like, oh, that feels a lot more gruesome than normal.
Yeah, we talked about that in the essay, and I definitely agree. That's just like...
Yeah, it's like something about it is like, oh boy, that's like more shocking.
Yeah.
But you were saying as we were watching it that they wanted to do like blood and stuff in that part.
Yes.
And the
Toho and the Rankin Bass representatives were like, well, he should be bleeding because his jaw's being ripped off.
Right.
And Eiji Tsuburaya, the effects director for most of the Toho movies, was like, absolutely not. This is a children's film.
Yeah.
That's why we'll make him start foaming from the mouth.
And just, scar everybody. But it seems very much like they just got the death that Gorosaurus should have gotten into Doctor Who dying.
Yes.
He's like being crushed and like his mouth is just open and there's blood just coming out. It's like, oh yeah, you still got that in there. He's just not in the same place. To a human instead. Maybe more like shocking to a child. I don't know.
I always remember when I was, like 8 or 9, the first time I saw Jaws, and when the shark bites down especially hard on Quint, and he just like, blah!
Yeah,
it's like blood spurting at the screen.
Yeah.
And that was like the most traumatic thing I'd ever seen at that point in my life. And I didn't see this movie until I was an adult. And it was on Svengoolie once. I actually left someone's birthday party to go home and watch it.
I would watch this over most birthday parties. I think.
And it was worth it, but also I had a cold, and so I fell asleep at the end, and I woke up just in time
for that.
And I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's good to have a happy ending.
Oh yeah, he does some really despicable things. There aren't often human bad guys in these movies at this point in the series.
Yeah,
or in the history.
Yeah, those were more in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a thing in a lot of King Kong movies, really, whether or not it's done purposefully, it's kind of showing like the gross side of humanity and like exploitive systems that don't care if what happens to this living creature as long as we get what we need, whether it's money or fame or whatever. And in this case, he's like, oh yeah, my robot got killed by this, like, radiation, but maybe this living mammal will go and I can kidnap him and he'll do it. And like at one point the girl even says, like, want to kill him? Said, oh, it will after a certain point or something.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, it will, but who cares? And it's like, that's despicable. He really is not a good person.
No.
Yep.
And they do a good job of getting that, even though he has a cool cape. But again, maybe
Lots
most
of
people that wear capes...
Lots of people with cool capes are bad people.
Yeah. It takes an unhinged person to wear a cape just around, I guess.
It's like black on the outside and silver on the inside to match his stripy hair.
And his black heart.
Yeah. Now, Courtney, I wanted to point out to you that Doctor Who is played by the same actor who played the toy maker Inami in Godzilla's Revenge.
I can see that
They're just
now.
very different performances.
Yes.
But
That's cool.
He was like a friend / babysitter to the kid in the movie.
and we're gonna get to that movie this season, so we won't say too much more.
Yeah. That's my favorite.
But I just thought you'd want to know that.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to bring up to you guys, because Courtney, you especially commented several times on the main female character Susan's voice.
Oh, it was bad.
Well, she was dubbed.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Really?
Yes.
Was she worse before?
I don't know. Well, she was a model, and this was her first acting job.
Okay.
Arthur Rankin Jr. saw her in something and was like in an ad, and he was like, "She should be in a movie for us."
Was she like German or Russian?
She was American. She's American.
Huh.
And she's very active on the convention circuit. Huh. Linda Miller's the name of the actress on screen, and she was dubbed by Julie Bennett, who was another big cartoon voice actress.
Cool.
She did a lot of work for Hanna-Barbera. She was Cindy Bear in a lot of the Yogi Bear stuff, including the Yogi Bear movie. And she was in some TV and a few live action things, but mostly a voice actress. And I was kind of curious because she does so much with Hanna-Barbera as I was going through her IMDb. If maybe she was in the Godzilla animated TV series, and it doesn't look like she was. But that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
What else was she in? Just out of curiosity.
Let me pull up her IMDb.
Sweet.
And I will...
Because, I don't know, they were like, okay, you're yelling from a distance. Okay, I better slow down.
Kong!
And it was interesting because for her, she even just always when she was talking to him, she did kind of do the thing where she like baby talks a little bit to like makes what she's saying simpler.
Yeah.
But then a big part of the plot was how Doctor Who's going to hypnotize him and just puts that thing in his ear and he just talks to him and is like, go down into the mine, the caves, and get this for me, or like. So it's like, yeah, he didn't do that. He just like talks to him normal, and it worked. Like, apparently Kong understood. He didn't need to be baby talked. I don't know.
Kong is a polylingual.
Turns out.
They should have gotten June 4A.
Well, Julie Bennett was Aunt May in the 90s animated Spider-Man show.
Oh, sweet.
She had unspecified roles in Garfield and Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Probably normal.
She was Agatha the Witch in several Looney Tunes cartoons. Food too. She was additional voices in Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels.
Oh, sweet.
She was in an unspecified number of episodes and roles on the I Dream of Jeannie cartoon. She was in The Funky Phantom.
Sweet.
As Lori. She was in 2 episodes of Get Smart. She was Kitty Joe in the Chattanooga Cats. And she was Lady Constance in the Banana Split Adventure Hour.
Oh, yes.
She was Lois Lane in a Superman series. The Superman Aquaman Hour of Adventure. She also did dubbing in What's Up, Tiger Lily.
Oh,
okay.
Not a Woody Allen fan anymore, but at the time I enjoyed it.
Oh, Courtney, you'll love this. She was the voice of the lady from Provence in Gay Purry.
Yes! Have you seen that?
It's been a long time, but I have seen it, yes.
Like, my sister and I used to rent that all the time, and like, nobody knows what it is. Oh. But it was so cool, and I showed the Take My Hand Perry song to our niece, and she loved it, and I was like...
Pass it along, that's
right.
So, those were all the things I wanted to cover in the conversation. Anyone else?
Well, I want to talk about the title real quick. What's the title translate to? Is it the same thing in Japanese?
So in
Escapes?
In Japanese, it's King Kong's counterattack, I believe.
Okay, I feel like that makes more sense.
Yeah. Mechagodzilla's counterattack.
Gotcha. Because I was like thinking, what are they referencing with him escaping? Because at a certain point he does escape, but that's not like the main...
Yeah.
That's not like the main thing. It's a cool-sounding title.
Yes.
I feel like it captures the imagination. Mm-hmm. But in the actual movie, him escaping is like... There's a lot that happens to lead up to him...
Escaping.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an appropriate title because the escape from Doctor Who's facility sets off the chain of events of the climax of the movie. So it's kind of the most important...
The important part, right.
Part. King Kong escapes, and they have to put Mechana-Kong, who we haven't talked about at all, I don't think.
We haven't.
Into a boat to chase after him. We haven't talked about a lot of things. We haven't talked about Mechana-Kong.
I'm not gonna lie, it took me until like 2 years into our relationship to remember that it was a Mechana-Kong and not Mecha-Kong.
No, it's Mechana-Kong, and
rolls off the tongue.
Because it's like mechanical.
Yeah.
Mechana-Kong.
No, I like it.
I do.
So Mechana-Kong is in the animated series, but he looks different in both of his episodes of the show, and he's brown and yellow in both. Instead of the silver we see, which also fits in with my theory about it being a prequel, because they've advanced Mechana-Kong.
Yes, he looks more ape-like.
Yes,
One looks like a really cool, like wind-up toy.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I kind of see some aspects of Giant Robo from Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the design of this,
There's something that like. I can't put my finger on, but it's like I recognize something about this. Maybe that's what it is.
Well,
I think maybe partly between thinking of Doctor Who as his cartoon version, I keep thinking of the Sonic the Hedgehog show from when we were kids, and maybe it's because he has those two robots, and maybe it's like in my mind it's like that's
I can see
making
that.
a connection or something. I don't know
see
exactly
that.
what it is,
But also his they made a version of his head for an episode of the Muppet Show, a sketch of the Muppet Show.
Okay.
That Dr. Honeydew is doing something. It's the gorilla alarm. That's what it is.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, there we
So
go.
it's supposed to go off when a gorilla's near.
Uh-huh.
And the
Yes,
gorilla's in
right.
the background and
Right.
it's not doing
Right.
anything. Which I would love a gorilla alarm, personally. I'd be afraid it might go off anytime my dad or I got near it. But
Yeah, it might hurt your feelings.
another important thing we didn't talk about was Mia Hama is in this as the femme fatale Madame Piranha or Madame X. I forget what it is in the.
She has some cool clothes.
Yeah. Again, feels very like Spycraft, James Bond inspired. Like her character feels like a James Bond villain, kind of. Which is,
That's part of why I was excited that Molly might have been able to come tonight because I really wanted her to see some of the outfits.
Cool outfits, definitely.
Very. Especially like the last couple. Like the black one when she's trying to be like the seductress. She's like, here, take this liquid that I just poured you.
Yeah.
And then we also have to talk about the supposed male lead of Rhodes Reason, who you may know from being Rex Reason's brother. But he's also in this Island Earth. I trivialized it,
there we go.
But he's in this
That's
Island
what it
Earth.
He also looks like Andy Griffith.
A little bit.
He also, like, I think maybe like his skin tone and hair color, especially that were shots that were further away in a distance, kind of looked like Sean Connery. So it's again like bringing the James Bond thing into my head.
You only live twice.
And none of the more problematic aspects of that.
Yeah, right.
It's like this was the movie they wanted / should have made.
There are a lot of people who would get very mad at you for that statement, Courtney.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean, it doesn't have Nancy Sinatra's song.
Yeah, that's right.
No. But it has a score by Akira Ifukube.
There was even actually moments in the score too, like the one I really remember was when Kong and Mechanic Kong are going up that big tower, and there's bits in the music where like it would kind of do like whatever the main theme was, and then like a kind of really brassy part two, and it's like this sounds like again like you're taking cues from the James Bond soundtrack.
Yeah, it was a kind of like trilling trombone thing. But the score on this one made it more intact than the score from King Kong versus Godzilla.
Okay.
Which initially this was not supposed to be connected to in any way. And in watching the film really isn't. But then Gorosaurus, the Allosaurus dinosaur thing, shows up in Destroy All Monsters.
When did this movie come out?
1967.
So did You Only Live Twice.
There we go.
Interesting.
This one came out, I have the release date here, July 22nd, 1967.
This came out first, June 12th.
Barely.
Just
Under the
curious.
wire.
So, with those things all said, anything else?
The Gorosaurus was really cool. I like the design, and you can see its influence on like Jurassic Park.
A lot of later dinosaurs.
Like especially when they just did like close-ups of the head. Like it looked very like Jurassic Park Raptor.
All right. Well, this wasn't supposed to be connected to the Godzilla films in any way, but then Gorosaurus shows up in Destroy All Monsters. So that's caused people to speculate that the King Kong in this is the child of the King Kong from King Kong versus Godzilla.
He does throw a tree.
He does. I wanted to ask you, Nathaniel, since you were on our King Kong versus Godzilla episode, and you had some... I won't say unkind words about the suit there, but how did this one compare to you?
I was just thinking that. I think I don't. If I said anything that sounded unkind, I didn't even dislike the other one, but I was just aware of. Oh yeah, this is vastly different.
Not great.
Yeah, that's fine. But there's stuff about that I love. I love when things are not the best quality. That adds something that I appreciate and like about that too. I think this felt like a step up from that, for sure. There's still like some things that are kind of like creepy about his, like, I think maybe whenever his mouth would be open sometimes, like his mouth was like, oh boy, this kind of is freaking me out a little bit. But I think it was cool.
I think the fur looked a lot better.
The fur looked a lot better, for sure.
I like his papery eyelids.
Yeah, his eyes too were just kind of cool looking.
Yeah, they're kind of like glassy, but like realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, anytime people are figuring out cool ways to either sell or not always completely sell an idea like that, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, hey, when he hits his chest, he has his hands open like a real gorilla, and Robert was like, that's probably because he couldn't close them.
Well, because they did, like in King Kong versus Godzilla, they had one version of the suit where his hands were in the gloves, and one version where he has little bars to hold on to, and the hand is like a foot farther down.
Yes, I definitely noticed that.
Did they also have a giant hand for the close-up?
Oh, of course. Okay. How could you not?
True.
Yeah, there's something that, I mean, is fun. I feel like most of them do, but there's a lot of references to the original King Kong in this. Like, he puts her up in a tree at one point. Yeah. We talked about him killing Gorosaurus, but a lot of things that... touching points to the King Kong.
Like, Eiji Tsuburaya, the effects director, and Ishiro Honda, the dramatic director, both really love King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to do a lot more to reference the original movie, because the last time they made a King Kong movie, they were also making a Godzilla movie.
Yes, right.
But this time they're making a King Kong movie. And they wanted to do more to reference the original, including there are designs that for Kong that apparently are much closer to the 1933 one. Mm-hmm. But Rankin Bass, who had... I know they were putting a lot of money forward for the project, but I think they made too many decisions.
Sure.
They said, no, it needs to look more like the cartoon Kong.
Which Kong was the one that looked like it kind of had a duck mouth?
That was the King Kong versus Godzilla one.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, his mouth looked more monkey-like in this.
Yes.
There was one point I noticed, like, his hand looked like a skeleton kind of thing almost. Yeah. I was like, oh boy, that's kind of a creepy looking hand.
Yeah.
Looks like, I don't know what they did with that exactly, but...
I liked that when, at the end, when the lieutenant was falling, he caught her, and then instead of just like holding her and climbing up, he set her down like by the stairs in the tower, which was very smart.
She made it very clear throughout the movie that she did not want to be held by him.
Until the end when she's like reaching up like a child, like doing the up thing.
Uppy, please.
Yeah. She came around at the end. She was into it.
Well, I think with that we will take a break, transition to our game show, which this episode is called Doctor Who?
Real quick, before we do, I also want to say we didn't talk about the hovercraft.
We didn't talk about the hovercraft!
And the hovercraft is like maybe one of the coolest things.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Again, felt like a Bond thing.
Yes.
But so into it.
It was like a precursor to the speeders in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like over water.
Well, and like seeing it go over the water.
Yeah, and going up on
the land.
That was really cool.
Very neat.
Yep.
Such a fun design.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So much great design work.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say a lot of it was Akira Watanabe, who did a lot of design, usually on monsters, but also on some other aspects of these films. But I don't know for certain, and I'm not going to make you all sit here in silence
and look for it
while I look through my books here. But, okay, break. Doctor Who? After the break.
King Kong, Mammoth, Behemoth, Goliath, King Kong escapes and meets his greatest foe, the Kong of Steel. A gargantuan duel, unmatched by any battle in history. Thundering 60-foot robot Kong of Steel, creation of the evil Doctor Who, criminal genius who stops at nothing. Kong, once again, dig. King Kong shakes the earth. King Kong fights for life against the Copter Squadron. A thousand thrills as King Kong battles the serpent of Rondo Island.
Look, it's Kong!
Hits himself against the nation's armament. And plunges a beautiful girl into a world of terror. King Kong in a duel to the death.
Welcome back once again to Record All Monsters. We're here still with Nathanael Ross Smith to play the game now, Doctor Who? Now you were just saying during the break that Doctor Who was kind of a childhood thing for you.
Yeah, I mean, my dad loved Tom Baker, so grew up watching all the Tom Baker, Doctor Who stuff. So really, if we did actual Doctor Who game, I would know Tom Baker and then newer Doctor Who, and that's it.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with Doctor Who
Perfect.
here.
Not in this house.
Doctor Who, played by Hideo Yamamoto in today's movie, King Kong Escapes, is not the same Doctor Who from the long-running British science fiction drama. But he's not the only character in the film canon with a more famous name fellow. As our game today, Doctor Who explores. The way this works is this way. I will ask you if a given character, like the British Doctor Who, shares a name with a less mainstream character, like Yamamoto's Doctor Who. We've been forbidden by recent court cases on local and federal levels from offering prizes or penalties on this podcast. So I'm sorry that we can't offer you any at this time. Thank you for your understanding. Question 1. We know King Kong is the giant primate star of today's film. But is there a Hungarian wrestler from the 1960s of the same name?
Oh boy, I'm gonna say yes.
There is. Born Emil Kazsa. I don't know how to...
Yeah, I don't speak Hungarian.
In 1909, he frequently starred as the malevolent Yang to Indian actor Dara Singh's heroic Yin in both wrestling matches and feature films.
You know, I feel like it was only a matter of time for a wrestler to use the moniker King Kong.
I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Yeah.
Question 2. Courtney, can you keep score of his gets and not gets?
Yes.
He has a get.
Okay.
There is a very famous series of children's and young adult novels starring a boy wizard named Harry Potter. Was there also a low-budget family film starring Lost in Space actress June Lockhart as a witch who shares an apartment building with someone else named Harry Potter and his son, Harry Potter Jr.?
The answer is yes.
Yes, there is.
This one I knew.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Troll was released in 1986 and was successful enough that the unrelated Claudio Fragasso film, Goblins, had its title changed to Troll 2 before being distributed on home video.
Nilbog.
Nilbog is goblin spelled backwards.
Now that's a movie.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
One of the best love scenes with the popcorn.
Oh my god!
Hot stuff.
Oh. That's why the popcorn
Yeah,
popped.
like literally too hot for the popcorn.
Amazing.
Question 3. Does the tow-headed American newspaper icon Dennis the Menace have a counterpart of the same name from across the pond?
I'm going to say no.
Well, he does.
I should know it. I figured they'd at least do something about the name.
The British comic strip Dennis the Menace and Gnasher focused on a dark-haired 10-year-old in a red and black striped sweater causing actual mayhem and mischief, like petty crimes,
Okay.
on the streets of the fictional Beano Town.
Oh no.
So he actually is a menace
Oh, yeah. And I
to
think...
society.
Dennis the Red Menace.
And they're, like, he has, like, other kids that he does petty crimes with. And his dog Gnasher.
Oh, that's so Gnasher is his dog.
Yes.
Gotcha. I thought that was another member of his gang.
Nope.
So it sounds like pseudo Calvin and Hobbes almost.
Yeah.
You know,
Calvin
he...
doesn't totally do crimes.
No, but he would if
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was given
right.
the opportunity. I mean, he likes to pee on things.
Yeah, that's I mean, not a crime necessarily, but it's very rude.
Which is also a plot point in Troll 2.
Pee? Yeah.
That's right.
Everything comes together.
That's right.
Question 4. Does Space Jam star and one-time professional athlete Michael Jordan share his name with a character played by Gene Wilder?
Oh boy, I don't have any idea. So I'm gonna say no again.
He does.
They've all been yes.
Gene Wilder plays Michael Jordan in 1982's Hanky-Panky, the movie where he met Gilda Radner.
Okay.
It was also directed by Sidney Poitier,
Oh, cool.
who recently passed
Who would
away.
have ever guessed Sidney Poitier directing Gene Wilder?
Yeah.
Gene and Gilda.
I have not seen that movie,
Me either.
but I need to see more Gene Wilder movies. I started watching some of his Richard Pryor movies. But I grew up with him, like Willy Wonka and Young Frankenstein, and then Blazing Saddles when I was a little older.
You ever watch? Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one. It's like Haunted Honeymoon.
Haunted, yes.
It's just him doing Young Frankenstein without Mel Brooks, kind of.
Yes,
it's not
it's-
nearly as good, but
It's still fun.
Yeah.
It's still, and I like the bits about radio. and-
They do the same bit with like in Young Frankenstein when he has the arm and he's like pretending like it's his arm. He does the same thing in that with like a corpse's legs or something. I don't totally remember, but I remember enjoying that movie.
They used to show it on TV, on Comet TV, quite a bit. And I know Courtney and I would always make a point of, if we're flipping through and we see it, we're like, stop!
Gotta watch it. There's an older movie also called Haunted Honeymoon, but I don't think there's any relation other than that. It's certainly not a remake because the story is not the same.
No.
Doesn't that have John Candy?
Yes,
too?
John Candy.
So it has like all these people that I love. So
Yeah,
like,
Gilda's in it.
Amazing. Gilda Radner. Read her book. It's so good.
Final question. Does Jay Sherman of the 1990s animated TV show The Critic share his name with a guitarist who has collaborated with indie darling rock band They Might Be Giants?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes, you figured out
The trend.
the trend
Finally,
of this
I did it.
game.
Yeah.
He does, but also, no, he doesn't. The real person in question, Jay Sherman Godfrey, hyphenates his Sherman with a Godfrey, which the cartoon character does not do. And truthfully, you were going to get a point
Either
for that
way.
one either way because it was a trick question. Nathaniel, have you ever gone 5 for 5 on our game show before?
I don't remember. I don't think I've been close. I think maybe, but
I think you might be the first one. I'm mixing up who's won what in the past.
Let's say yes.
Yeah.
I'm the first. I've done the best.
I think John LeMay might have, but I don't remember off the top of my head. If you're listening and you remember, or you've been keeping track in like a Google Sheets thing, you can send that to me.
And then maybe I'll finally get a prize.
No.
If you send
No.
forward that.
No.
Yes.
It was decided in a court case at the local and federal levels. Local, state, and federal. You can't go against that. Not again. I can't afford another lawsuit. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. No. Nathaniel, where can people find your stuff on the internet or the real world?
You can come to my house. I'm not going to tell you where the address is, but it's where you can find my stuff in real life. Or Instagram, which is just my name, Nathanael Ross Smith. Drawn pictures, sometimes not as frequently as others, but I'm on there.
And listeners, we are, in addition to trying to get ourselves nominated for a Rondo, we want Nathaniel to get one. And I found out I was speaking with David at the horror film message boards, classic horror film boards. This year, artist is a write-in category.
Nice.
So, when the ballot comes out, Nathanael Ross Smith.
Feel free to write my name
for best artist.
And I'll actually send you pictures to send to him.
Yes.
Soon, because I keep putting it off.
Well, and maybe I can, if you give them to me by Friday, I can put them in the description.
Perfect.
For
Yeah.
this episode.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fire under my feet.
So, with that, I'll see y'all on the other side. Nathaniel, thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we hope to see you again. Ever. Like, just in general.
Well, I feel like even this week it's bound to happen.
But also here. We should probably get you on for a Not Monkey movie at some point.
Hey, let me know.
But, alright. Welcome back.
What was that?
I don't know. I panicked when I pressed record. This is the flip side. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that interview with Nathaniel. We did. We had a lot of fun watching King Kong Escapes with him.
Yeah.
And we want him to get a Rondo for his monster art. So yeah. I was speaking with Tarako at AOL.com, a.k.a. David at the Classic Horror Film Boards. And he said artist is a write-in category this year. So when the ballot comes out, we'll let you know. And you can nominate Nathaniel. Mm-hmm. Or write him in. Mm-hmm. But you can nominate us for a Rondo now by sending an email to Tarako at AOL.com. Mm. I've also... I personally nominated as well our friends over at Kaiju Weekly for their magazine, Kaiju Ramen. Mm-hmm. And our friend John LeMay for his book Classic Monsters Unmade. Courtney, did you have anything you wanted to get a Rondo? Like maybe Last Night in Soho? Or...
Oh, yes. It was so good. The literal movie of my dreams.
Then you have to email your suggestions to Tarako at AOL.com. Or join the Classic Horror Film Boards and post in the category about nominating things for Rondos.
Okay.
Wow, that totally unplanned skit was beautiful.
It really wasn't. I promise.
So, nothing next week. Taking a break to work on the upcoming episode and to also just take a break.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind you all, I don't like to bring this up, but it would be nice if you gave us some money on Patreon.
If you want to.
If you want to, like $1. There's 3 tiers. We have the Gorosaurus tier, we have the Gamera tier, and the Godzilla tier at $1, $5, and $10 respectively. And all Patreon patrons get our podcast, bonus podcast, I Never Twinsed a Single Peak, which Courtney is involved in.
Yep.
As well as our friend who's been on the show before, Jonathan. He's on every episode, John and Courtney and me. Austin comes on every now and then. And I think his little brother was there with us once.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's a fun time, the show is. I won't tell you what I think of Twin Peaks you have to listen to I Never Twinsed a Single Peak to find that out. And you can do so for as little as $1 a month.
I think that's everything.
I think that's everything there is to say.
You can also just rate, review, and subscribe and share.
I don't think I've ever asked people to do that.
Yeah.
Please rate us 5 stars. You can do it on Spotify now.
Yeah.
And review it. Share it with your friends. If you have any.
It's free for you.
It is. Yeah, share. We've gone over our 3 minutes. I try to keep these at. I can just push the theme song back.
Okay, bye. We'll be working on
Yongery.
Yongery Glen Rock.
Just Yongery. Remember that monsters are your friends.
Okay, bye.